because I actually grew up in Northwest Ohio. Went to Toledo Wait and left for the Army after that, and came back and got my business degree at the University of Toledo. And let me just say that was a long time ago. But what I'm doing these days, I've been in the Cleveland area for about 25 years, and I lead the workforce development team here at Tooling U-SME, which Kathy mentioned, over 900 of our partners across the United States. Today, I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking to you about a little bit about Tooling U-SME, but more importantly, what it could mean for you and the impact it could have on your business from a workforce and talent perspective. As we support partners across the United States, it's pretty clear that the number one issue in general in manufacturing right now is workforce and talent. Not only finding those entry-level employees with some type of foundational skill set, but after you hire them, your ability to be able to retain them and continue to develop them to meet the specific needs of your business. We realize that's a challenge, not only here in Ohio, Northwest Ohio, but across the United States. To that effect, I wanted to share a little bit of data with you. We're partners with Burning Glass, so we have the ability to pull data and isolate it across different geographical areas. But I want to give you a snapshot on what this looks like, not only in the state of Ohio on the right column there, but across the United States there on the left column. So what Burning Glass does is they have the ability to pull job postings across the United States. And what you're looking at right now is the top 10 in-demand occupations in the manufacturing sector most recently, at least over the past year or so. I do want to point out that these numbers are underinflated. And the reason why I said that is because if a big manufacturer like, let's just say Owens Corning, post a position for a production worker, and they have 15 openings, but they only post it once, and then they say they have 15 openings, it's only going to count as one posting as it relates to this. So the numbers, particularly on the entry level roles, are very underinflated here. But even if they're underinflated, you can see that there's tons of opportunity for folks from different stakeholder groups and young folks to get involved in the manufacturing sector. There's just a ton of opportunity right now. This data doesn't surprise me here in the state of Ohio, where the production worker is the number one on the list. And that's true for most of the 50 states, with the exception of a couple right now. We just can't find that entry-level talent with those foundational skills. And I suspect that some of you on this webinar are dealing with that right now. So that's just a little bit of data I want to share with you. In Ohio, as I know most of you know what's going on here in Ohio with the EV movement, with the announcement of and building of several different plants across Ohio to support electronic vehicles, not only production, but the battery plants that are being produced. What does that mean for Northwest Ohio? We have that GM EV propulsion plant that's in the process of being built. And obviously, you think about all the jobs associated with that, not only directly, but the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 suppliers involved with that as well. So there's tons of opportunity there. I don't have a slide for this, but another big thing that's happening in Ohio is this whole semiconductor movement, with the announcement of Intel investing outside of Columbus there. That's a $20 billion investment just from Intel. And then you have all their tier 1, tier 2 suppliers across the state. And again, all those different jobs associated with it. It's a big challenge, but with big challenges come big opportunities. So if you are tied to the EV or semiconductor sector in any way, shape, or form, I suspect that your business is going to be growing. So who is Tooling U and SME? I do want to mention that Tooling U-SME is part of a bigger organization called SME. We are kind of a 5-legged stool, and I do want to just briefly mention the other 4 legs before I dive into the Tooling U part of it. SME is a nonprofit advocacy organization that supports the manufacturing sector across North America. primarily through technology and people. So through our working from left to right here, our events group is a group that puts on some of the largest manufacturing showcases across North America. Our signature event is FabTech, which is the second largest event in manufacturing in the world. It usually draws about 50,000 plus people over the course of a week. It's an annual event that is this fall going to be at the McCormick Center in Chicago. There's only like 3 or 4 conference centers in the United States that can even hold us, simply because it's so big. So perhaps some of you have been to that event, but we also have different and smaller regional events, some of them specific to different technologies like additive manufacturing and smart manufacturing. We typically put on around 8 or 9 events per year. Our media group puts out different publications across North America to really talk about the different things that are happening technology and people-wise across North America. Our flagship publication is called Manufacturing Engineering Magazine. That goes out to a couple of 100,000 subscribers on a monthly basis. We have our membership group, which is a combination of both professional and student chapters across not only the United States, but the world. We have about 240 chapters across the world right now. When we look at Ohio, we have 11 chapters. 5 of those chapters are on the professional side, meaning they're led by business leaders. And then we have 6 student chapters, which are typically led by faculty members at different universities or community colleges. Now, we do have, and I do have to point this out, we don't have any chapters in Northwest Ohio, and we're really trying to talk to some different schools and organizations to see if we can get one kicked off there in the greater Toledo area. Some of the benefits of being a chapter member is you're plugged into our entire network from a media and events perspective. Our Education Foundation is a group that is in the business of getting our youth in America more engaged in STEM-related careers. Their flagship program is our scholarship program, which they typically award around 500 scholarships on an annual basis with an average award of about $2,500. Most of those awards go to engineering students at universities, and we are trying to change that. So it's more of a 50-50 split between folks that go to engineering schools and then folks that are trying to, for example, getting a welding degree or a maintenance mechatronics machining associate degree at a community college. One caveat is that it does have to be at an accredited school. And so a lot of people don't know about this program, so we work with our educators to try and promote that across their student population. And then last but not least is the Tooling U part of Tooling U-SME. We're a group of around 95 folks that wake up every day and think about how we support the manufacturing sector from a learning perspective. And so when folks think about Tooling U-SME, we're most known for our online content. We're up to about 600 course titles. Each of those courses is about a 1-hour learning experience. But in addition to online courses, we're also into virtual reality labs, customized or comprehensive assessments, books, videos, different SME certifications, customized training, and some instructor-led titles. The wheel represents some of the most popular functional areas that we do address with our online content. And we'll dive into that here in a minute. Who do we work with across the country in North America? We work directly with about 5,000 manufacturers, and that includes half of the Fortune 500 manufacturers. So yes, we're working with like the Boeings, the Eatons, the Caterpillars of the world, but we're also supporting your 25 employee machine shop out in some of the rural areas. I lead the team that supports all these other partners that you see here on the screen, from technical high schools to community colleges to universities and their engineering programs. and different organizations like economic workforce development agencies, some community-based organizations like a Goodwill Industries, manufacturing associations, and the MEP network across the United States. What does that look like in Ohio? So Kathy and her team represents SIFT, the MEP. If you look at the upper left-hand corner here in Northwest Ohio, SIFT is part of a bigger network of MEPs that support the entire state. We work with all 6 of those folks. This is just a snapshot of some of the larger organizations or manufacturers that we're working with in the great state of Ohio here. These are the community colleges and universities that we're engaged with in the state of Ohio. For Northwest Ohio, that would be Northwest State Community College and Terra State. These are some of the CTE technical high schools that we support in the state of Ohio. The ones in Northwest Ohio, I believe, are the Toledo Public School System and then Penta Career Center. And then this is the Manufacturing Association Network that supports the state of Ohio. In the Northwest Ohio, that would be NOMA, and the Advanced Manufacturing Consortium that serves in the Northwestern region. And so some of the things that we're up to here at Tooling U-SME is of those 95 employees, about a third of us are designers and developers. So they are in the business of producing new content or updating previous versions of courses. They're very good at what they do as far as developing online assets from a learning perspective, and they work with our subject matter experts that guide them along the development process of online content. Some of the things that we're working on now, or most recently, is anything related to smart manufacturing. So things like additive, cyber, artificial intelligence, robotics and automation, electronic vehicles content, and then virtual reality, producing labs where folks can go into a virtual environment and practice some of the things that they've learned. You know, the younger folks seem to like this. We got to start meeting those younger folks where they're at. These are the same Oculus headsets that they're perhaps using when they're gaming, you know, in 4 or 5 hours in a row playing different games. What we're asking them to do is put on the same headset and go through some manufacturing specific labs to test out their knowledge on some of the things that they've learned in the online courses. And so we're going to continue developing new and improved online content that meets the needs of industry. So let me walk you through. I mentioned that each one of the 600 titles is about a 1-hour learning experience. Let me kind of walk you through the process of what that looks like. When a student logs in or employee logs in, they're typically asked to complete a pre-assessment. We like to do that because it's a snapshot in time on what they may or may not know about a specific topic. Obviously, if they're not familiar with the topic, we expect them to score low, and that's okay. Regardless of the score that they achieve on the pre-assessment, it does launch into the course. We're trying to hit different types of learners here. Some learners learn by seeing, some learn by listening, some learn by reading, going through simulations. So all of our courses, a combination of all of those, and there's some level of flexibility in, for example, turning the audio off so that you can read. Some people read faster than they can listen. And so those folks tend to complete courses a little bit quicker than others. And so we're trying to keep their attention and keep them engaged throughout the course. We do have some quizzes and simulations that are embedded in the course. And then every course is concluded by a final exam. So again, you remember, we're trying to test them in the beginning, and then we also try and take another snapshot of their knowledge at the end. And this way, you know, within that 1-hour learning experience, you can capture how much you move the needle on knowledge transfer on a specific topic. And all that data is captured in the learning management system. So now I want to kind of transition over on the right-hand side of the slide, where you as business leaders and educators have all sorts of controls on the back end of our system to go into it at any point in time to see how your employees are doing. You know, did they log in? How much time do they spend in each class? What are they scoring on their pre and post assessments? You have the ability to pull reports from an individual basis. You can pull a group of employees reports, or if you have employees across different departments, you can pull comprehensive reports to see how you're doing as an organization or a specific individual. So we do provide a level of support to get you up to speed on how to use the system. And then that person, his name is Garrison Anderson on my team. He supports you throughout the duration of your training implementation, which could be anywhere from 3 months to a year to over several years. And then because we realize that, you know, different things are going to be important to you to be able to track and pay attention to from manufacturer to manufacturer. So we're pretty flexible with that, and have all sorts of tools and options for you to consider as you're rolling this out initially and then managing the training implementation over time. So here's my favorite slide to talk to you about. Why in the heck would you consider leveraging online learning to support your business as a manufacturer? So here are the common 6 reasons why a manufacturer would engage in online learning. Number 1 is you are hiring new employees with little to no experience in the manufacturing sector. Perhaps you hired them for different reasons. Maybe their interpersonal skills, maybe they're your perceived work ethic, and maybe they could pass a drug test for all those reasons. But now you have that person, you committed to them, and you need to onboard them as quickly as possible. We do have a nice combination of content that helps you accelerate that process, where we can help them accelerate that onboarding process with courses around things like safety and inspection, applied math, and some basic fundamental courses across different functional areas. And so over the first 30, 60, 90 days, we can build that plan out with you so that they can take maybe a couple courses a week over 2 or 3 months. The second reason is your ability to customize and a very specific online learning package that may be role specific or may be specific to someone's previous education and experience. We do have a beginning, intermediate, and advanced level courses across several different topics and functional areas. So we can help that person you just hired with no experience. We can also help your tool and die veteran that's been around for 25 years. I'm certain that we even have a handful of courses that would apply to that individual. So you have the ability to really slice and dice and cherry pick any combination of content to meet a very specific need. The third reason is your ability to leverage blended, or what I call hybrid delivery. So maybe you have your own formal training program going on right now. Maybe you have formal or informal mentoring relationships where, you know, Johnny starts his new job and you pair him up with one of your senior level people to kind of shadow them over a given time period. Well, one of our subscriptions could be a great complement to that onboarding process, where that mentor could even pick a combination of courses that will help him or her out as they're onboarding and shadowing them over a period of time. So their ability to blend and you know, blend hybrid delivery, and then even partnering with some of your educational institutions who may be able to bring blended hybrid delivery to the table. What we're trying to do here is minimize the amount of time that they're off the production line here. Compliance training. Maybe you want to roll out OSHA 101 or Lean Manufacturing 101 and different specific topics across your entire organization. It's a great way to roll it out and then track everyone's performance and then the fact that they've completed the training, and you'll be able to manage that in the learning management system. The fifth reason is if you're engaged in apprenticeships at all, machinists, welders, maintenance techs, mechatronics, robotics technicians, Registered apprenticeships do require a minimum number of related technical instruction, otherwise known as RTI hours. And our online courses do count towards those hours. So I realize you can get those hours different ways. It's also popular to go to your local community college to accumulate those hours, but we are a nice flexible way to be able to include those, add those hours up over time across a multiple year apprenticeship program. Last but not least, if any specific industry credential is important to you, our content does align to several of the industry certifications out there in the market, not only our certifications under the SME umbrella, but other third-party credentials. So those are, and my hope is that everyone on the webinar right now can resonate with at least one of these items, because that would be the reason why you would even consider engaging in online learning with your organization. So along the lines of industry credentials, and I know this slide a little different with the font size, but there's all sorts of different credentials out there. We feel that there are two credentials that really serve as the foundation of credentials for many of the other role-specific credentials. So whether you're supporting production folks, maintenance techs, machinists, welders, folks that are getting into EV production or robotics and automation, or maybe you have some degreed engineers on staff. The foundational level certificates or certifications, we feel, are two of ours that are not necessarily role specific, but give you a nice grounding on the fundamentals in general, and then the fundamentals across robotics and automation. So I'm going to highlight two of those today. The first one is the Certified Manufacturing Associate. This is by far our most popular credential under the SME umbrella. This is really geared towards that person who has no or little experience in manufacturing, and you just hired them. This is also very popular to complement many of the high school technical programs and community college programs that you see out there. This is a list of courses that's involved in that certification program. As you can see with the list of courses, it's really heavy into safety, inspection, quality, math, and some intro level courses across different functional areas. A lot of this is, I suspect, some titles that you would want to get your new employee up to speed on anyway, as you just hired them and are in the process of onboarding them. If you're interested in actually sitting for the certification exam, it is a separate test. It's a comprehensive exam of 75 questions. We are pulling 3 questions from each of these 25 courses. They do have 2 hours to complete the exam. There is an extra cost for the exam. And then we're looking for a comprehensive score of 70% or above in order to earn the credential. It's all multiple choice as well. The robotics and manufacturing exam is our newest credential. It's really, as this world becomes more automated, we're going to see more robots out there. Perhaps some of the manufacturers represented on this webinar, you've already purchased your first set of robots, or maybe you're considering how you're going to potentially automate your business. So a lot of these courses and certification would apply to that. This is the list of 22 courses that align to this specific credential. I have 6 of these highlighted because those 6 courses were previously identified as part of the Certified Manufacturing Associate credential. So if you already got through that credential, you're technically only looking at 16 new courses. Same thing, a little bit more questions on this exam. There's 100 versus 75, but you do have 3 hours to complete it instead of 2. But you do have to complete it at a 70% comprehensive score. And these are the folks that are going to be transitioning into roles like operating a robot or being a person that's going to troubleshoot and maintain any of your automation systems. These are a list of apprenticeship occupations that we happen to support the best. Certainly not a comprehensive list of all the apprentices that we support, but we will have more content for folks like machinists, industrial maintenance techs, and welders, and electrical and mechatronics technicians. We do support many other occupations. We just may not have as much content that aligns to it. So this is my what I like to call my Shark Tank slide. That's one of my favorite shows I watch on Friday, Saturday nights. And Mr. Wonderful in the middle there, he happens to give everyone a hard time. He likes to ask a question like, what makes your organization different than everyone else? And so this slide is my answer to that question. With our online assets, we have industry-driven content. So I mentioned we have 30 designers and developers. They are not necessarily experts on specific topics like additive manufacturing or robotics and automation. What we do is we hire industry experts to really guide us around what's happening in that world and along the entire development process. It takes about 3.5 months to develop a 1-hour online module from scratch. And that's if everything goes well, which doesn't always go perfect sometimes. But we do hire them to guide us along the way when we're developing new and upgraded content. The second piece is every one of our courses is driven through our learning management system. There's no extra charge for it. It's really the vehicle for how we deliver our content, both from a user perspective, and then it also is the tool that gives you access as a manager and leader to really give you some tools to track how folks are doing. Most of our courses are available on the smartphone these days. Let's face it, with these younger folks that are always on their phone, or you might be my age and you're always on their phone. But we do have the ability for those folks to take courses right on their smartphone. We support the Android and the Apple operating system. And the younger folks tend to like to take more of their online courses on their smartphone. This also gives you, by the way, the flexibility. We've been told by manufacturers that sometimes when a cell goes down and, you got maintenance over trying to fix it, now you have 4 people that, unless you can move them over and get them productive and doing something else, maybe you send them over to the break room and ask them to complete blueprint reading 101. But it's a way that they can access the curriculum in a very flexible way. Last but not least, I mentioned Garrison Anderson. We don't just issue usernames and passwords. We do provide a level of support for your organization as you try and roll this out, and then support you during your entire implementation process. And we call that client success management. The way that you purchase subscriptions through SIFT is that there's 2 different ways. Number one is that you're able to purchase individual subscriptions. That would be 1 subscription per employee, and there's different ways that you can do that. You could purchase 10-pack or 25 packs, which means that you would be choosing 10 out of our 600 courses for that 1 employee, signing them up for a subscription, and then they would have access to it for a year. You're limited by the number of courses in these models. The 3 at the bottom are only limited by time, so you have access to everything. When I say everything, almost 600 courses and all of our virtual reality labs, which there are 12 available today, and we're going to continue to release more of those over time. Really, you would choose a length of subscription that coincides with the number of courses you feel that employee needs to take, and then how much time you feel they're going to have available to take those courses. So I really encourage an employer to think about that before they select the right individual subscription. And you could have different types of subscriptions for different employees based on their specific needs. If you do have a minimum of 50 employees that would somehow benefit from these online courses and virtual reality labs, that's when the economies of scale really start working for you in some type of a site license. And what's different about the site license is that your organization does share a specific start and end date. And so let's just say that's August 1st. If you start on August 1st, on July 31st of next year, the whole system would turn off. Typically, we're talking about a renewal when everything goes well, and then maybe increasing the number of employees that are on the system. So whether they're taking one class or 600 classes, they would be one of those 50 users that have access to the system during that 1 year. They are all 1 year, and they are all what we consider all access. These are just some of the programs that are out there in the great state of Ohio. We work with states all over the country. Some are better than others as far as supporting employers and their incumbent worker training needs. We happen, in my opinion, we happen to be one of the top 5 in the country. And the best program out there is that the Ohio Tech Cred program, which has been going on for about 3 years. And if you're not familiar with that, please go ahead and Google that, Ohio Tech Cred. It does, in most cases, pay for up to 100% of the cost of training. How it works is that you do have to pay for it up front. And then if it's eligible, then it gets reimbursed on the back side of it once you demonstrate completion of a technical program. Now, most of our content is technical. There's some of it that is not, but we can help guide you to really put the right custom technical programs together to meet your employee-specific needs that would also be improved by Tech Cred. We've been working with Tech Cred long enough to know what they like and what they don't like. So if you're not familiar with online learning, or even if you are, and you're somewhat intrigued by what you heard today, I would encourage you just to try us out. No risk, no cost to you. What I'm suggesting here is that you identify some functional content areas there on the right-hand side. Let Kathy know what you're interested in, and let's just turn on a trial account for your company for 30 days. And you and some members of your team can kind of kick the tires on some courses that are relevant to you. We want you to try it before you buy it. That's usually our approach anyway. So I would encourage you to do that. That would be, in my mind, taking the next step if you liked what you heard today. You can also go on CIF's website there. I have a link to their site there at the bottom, but you can just go to ciftinnovation.org. And under their manufacturing tab, there are many of the functional areas on the right there that you see represented right on their landing page. So just please work with Kathy directly to let her know what type of courses you're interested in, and then we'll just go ahead and turn that on for you. We have about 15 minutes left, and I intentionally wanted to keep some time open for any questions, comments from anyone that's on the webinar. So at this point, Kathy, I'm going to turn it back over to you, but I'm going to hang out for a while to answer any questions. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Greg, very much. I appreciate your time. And I don't have any questions from anybody yet, but please type some in if you have any. And in the meantime, I'll just add, I can't emphasize enough 2 points that Greg just made. One of those is Tech Cred. That is an awesome program, and it can pay for a lot of, if not all of your Tooling U, if you go forward with a subscription or some subscriptions. It's a really great program, and it's kind of a well-kept secret in Ohio, but people are becoming more and more aware. And they continue, once they find out about it, to use it for their employees for training needs. And the Tooling U as he mentioned, many of the courses can be funded through the Tech Cred program. The other thing is the online demo is also very worthwhile. And the way you would set that up is to just reach out to me, send me an email asking, saying you would like to have a demo. We'll set a call up with Greg. He'll do another brief, online with us for 30 minutes or so, where he will kind of get into the program and show you some classes. And then based on the conversation, he will pick some relevant classes to your needs and to what you're doing and what your employees would like to be trained on, and provide you with access. We'll give you a password to Tooling U, and you can go ahead and as he mentioned, kick the tires and see what you think about it. And after that 30 days, we'll reconvene, talk a little more, and see if it's something you want to go forward with. So that's what I have. Let's see if there's any questions. Let me check before we head out. I'm not seeing any right now. Do you see any, Greg? Any questions?
I don't.
Okay. So I think that will end our time for today. Thanks again for your time, everybody. And if you do want to have a demo, please email me and we will make that happen for you. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. Bye.